So we are in the kitchen tonight bottling up some kombucha. We're doing strawberry tonight, and we're getting some biscuits ready for tomorrow morning. These are going to be some skillet baked angel biscuits, and what I've got here in the bowl is all of my dry ingredients. I'll put the actual measurements down in the description, but it's 5 cups of bread flour, 3 tablespoons of sugar, 5 teaspoons of baking powder, 1.5 teaspoons of salt, 1 teaspoon of baking soda. Then in a separate bowl here, I have taken half a cup of warm water, and I've added a tablespoon of sugar, and I've added a package of active dry yeast. If you buy the packages, it's 1 package. If not, it's a 1/4 ounce, which I think is a little over a teaspoon. You might have to look that up if you buy the large jars. And then what I'm going to do is cut in half a cup of cold butter and a half a cup of lard. We have pure leaf lard here. If you don't have lard, you could use any kind of shortening like a Crisco. If you don't have that, you could probably get away with doubling the butter. I've never tried it, so I don't know. But the lard is just superior to the Crisco. So I'm going to... I've also got this thing, I think it's called a pastry knife, I'm not really sure. When my grandmother did these biscuits, she would always use a fork to cut in the butter and the shortening or lard, depending on what she had. That's just to get everything mixed around. I'll pop in the butter. And the lard, we buy our lard from local Amish place. It comes out of Pennsylvania. We'd like to get to the point where we're rendering our own lard, but we're not there yet. All right, so at this point, I'm just going to go ahead and cut all of this in. I'm not the neatest cook. That's pretty well incorporated in there at this point. So to this, I'm going to add 2 cups of buttermilk.
Careful on that bottom end.
I'm going to add 2 cups of buttermilk. A little bit at a time. Just going to keep folding it in. The beautiful part about these biscuits is they don't need to be kneaded. For anyone who's kneaded bread, you know why that's a good thing. Yep, that's how you mess up a kitchen. I'm going to go ahead and add in my yeast now. So we've had this sitting on the counter for 5 to 10 minutes. You can see that it started to bloom. The yeast has gotten activated by the little bit of sugar and the warmth that's in there. That should add the last amount of the liquid that we need. We can always top it off with a little bit more buttermilk if it appears to be too dry or powdery. turning out pretty good. Still got a little bit of a dry patch on the bottom.
Find dough around the kitchen for days.
Well, you wanted biscuits.
I did.
I'm just gonna get in there with my fingers because it's a little bit easier than this rubber spatula that keeps bending on me. Alright, that's pretty good. As you can see, it's a bit flaky of a dough. Nice and moist. What we're going to do with this now is put some saran wrap over the top of it. We're going to put it in the refrigerator, which I know is really weird since we just added warm yeast to it. But we're going to put this in the refrigerator. We're going to let it sit just as it is overnight. And then tomorrow morning we will come back and show you what we do with it next. And this recipe will sit in your refrigerator for about a week, maybe a little bit longer, and still stay good. So you could reduce the size of this batch in half, or you could go ahead and keep it and use it over a couple of different days. So we are back. It's the next morning. This is our dough. We put some saran wrap over it, left it in the refrigerator overnight. Looks pretty much the same as it did when we put it in. Rose a little bit, but not too much. I'm gonna work this slightly just to get it together into a cohesive mass. Doesn't need to truly be kneaded. It's a thick dough, especially refrigerated. All right, so we've got the dough kneaded. We're gonna go ahead and roll this out. Again, this is gonna be pretty stiff because it's refrigerated. You can technically make this as thin or thick as you want. I think that'll work. So we have a cast iron skillet here, which we have greased with a little bit of lard. And they make biscuit cutters, but we don't have one of those, and we do have lots of mason jars. So we will do the smaller size, I guess. Just gonna push that in, turn it a little. Good sized biscuit. We will go with that. That is the one nice thing with the actual biscuit cutters is they have a handle on the top. Makes them slightly easier to use, but this works just fine. Gonna lay all these in the skillet. They can be touching.
Make room. Down there, over here.
Alright, so we've got our biscuits in the pan. I'm gonna go ahead and put this in the oven at 425 degrees. And after about 5 minutes, I'm gonna take it out and put some melted butter on the top, put it back in. It's gonna cook in total for roughly 20 minutes. You just need to keep an eye on it. I'm gonna take this dough here and put this into a Ziploc bag. We'll be able to keep that in the refrigerator for a week or so. We'll roll it out again and make another batch later in the week. Alright, so that's the biscuits after 5 minutes. I have melted a stick of butter. I'm gonna go ahead and butter these. I'm gonna try to only use half of what I have melted or less. Probably only needed a half a stick really, because we're gonna add more butter when they're done with their final cook. I'm gonna put these back in the oven now for about 15 more minutes, but I'll keep an eye on them when they get close to the end. All right, so we cooked these at 425 degrees, and we ended up going for about 23 minutes on these. Just gonna put some of this butter on. And that is it. These things are delicious, so go ahead and give them a try. So, there's the biscuit.
That is beautiful.
Nice on the bottom with the lard. A little butter on top. Some nice flakes inside, nice and hot.
Mm-hmm. There's your spoon for your jam if you get that far. How are they?
Really good. We're gonna stop filming now because I'm hungry. I'm Andy.
I'm Tia.
Thanks for watching.
Don't forget to subscribe.
And hit the bell icon to subscribe so that you get notifications when we post new videos.
And don't forget the thumbs up.
Thanks.
Thank you.